Hey guys, Palsteron here, and spoiler season has begun for 3.21 Crucible. We just got some news in. Right now, there's 4 new things. One of them a new unique, 2 quality of life improvements, and 1 skill nerf. Now let's start with the first new unique that they teased. And on first glance, it does look kind of like a 1 alchemy unique. Item kind of starts off weak. The base is pretty weak. The rolls are pretty weak. Nobody wants mana. But then it has some unique properties. It gives you a ton of chill effect while leeching mana, and a ton of shock effect while leeching energy shield. There's actually stuff where you want to shock yourself for example, the lucky elemental damage with hits is lucky while you're shocked from Fulcrum right here. There's not that many ways to actually be unaffected by shock. This is not immune to shock, it's unaffected. So you're still shocked and you get all the bonuses from being shocked, right? So there's only Replica, Winterheart, and I think Impulses that usually can do this. Everything else straight up says immune, so that's at least kind of interesting. The problem here is that all the mana leeching stuff is probably useless on Fulcrum builds because most Fulcrum builds are spell-based and spellcasters don't leech mana, which makes this whole item a little bit of a contradiction. Also, a big problem with it is unaffected by chill while leeching mana. Sounds good for self-chill, right? But it really isn't because you already have Winterweave. You want to use Winterweave because you don't want to be unaffected by chill. You want to reverse the chill to actually be faster, right? Not really sure where this is going to fit right now. I would say it's probably in the garbage bin. Then we have a big one, which is Chaos Orb now stacks to 20. Now, that's obviously a huge change, not really for them, but a huge change for us traders, for all the wrist users, right, that don't have an auto clicker. Absolutely huge. It will probably change quite a bit in the economy. I'm not going to pretend like everybody else that I know exactly what's going to happen. I'm just going to shoot my shot here and say that I think Divines will overall go up. I think a lot of the reasons why Chaos didn't go even higher was that it was just such an annoyance to trade that people they were kind of fixated at a certain price. You didn't want to just go over 300 Chaos, for example, which, who knows, the floodgates might be open for devalued Chaos Orbs. I cannot predict this. Now, what I would have hoped is, the big problem that I have with Chaos Orbs right now is that it's basically like gold. If you think about what you use Chaos Orbs for, it's a little bit of crafting, it's rerolling maps, it is map device, but you're not really using it for crafting most of the time. So I would have gone the other route. I wouldn't have just put it to 20 as a stack size. You could have even left it at 10, but make Chaos Orbs more valuable. I mean, compare it to fossils, compare it to essences. There is just a problem here, because if Chaos Orbs were better, if they had an additional effect to just reforging a rare item with new random modifiers, then they would be more sought after and we wouldn't have to click as much anyways. My solution, and I'm basically stuck on repeat with this, with Chaos Orbs, is make them better by making them lucky in terms of tiers. So for example, the higher item level your item is, the more high tier rolls you're going to see, because we all know this problem where we're just infinitely rolling with Chaos Orbs and we're just seeing tier 9, tier 6, tier 7 mods on a high level item. Now, how lucky, you would obviously have to adjust it so it's not OP, but I think that would be a better solution. So for example, let's say Chaos Orb is then way better, then all of a sudden it's going to be 40 to 1 divine, for example. But I digress. This is still a welcome change and I'll take it. After that, we have the change here, which is a certain tweet where John Groen was basically leaving a comment, and the Path of Exile account was talking about Seismic Trap. Now, Jung has obviously been asking to nerf Seismic Trap for quite a while. They tried it several times. They never really succeeded. It's a pretty big deal right now. So this is kind of interesting. I don't think there's any way they're not going to nerf it after kind of announcing this is obviously a tease. We don't know what's going to happen, but I think it's very likely that we're going to see a highly nerfed Seismic Trap. Now, I don't think Seismic Trap was the biggest of problems in softcore, because softcore is more lenient with what skills you use, especially nowadays that Archnem has been nerfed. You can play a lot of skills that you want, but in racing and hardcore scenarios, it is pretty damn oppressive. I definitely agree, and that would be a good change. And at the end here, a small change is about oils. And that's basically just that down here, it's actually going to tell you the name of the oil. Now, it can be annoying to actually go in and look at it, right? Especially if you're colorblind, this might be a huge problem. In general, it hasn't really been that big of a deal, but good that it's there. Now, one thing I want to mention here at the end is that I'm actually incredibly excited for the 3.21 patch notes tomorrow. Not simply because it's a PoE patch, duh, but also because of something they said in the No Balance Manifesto post right here. So obviously everybody knows there's not any balance manifestos this time around, but their explanation is kind of interesting. Sometimes there's just so much numerical detail right? That the balance manifesto ends up reading like a patch notes, it's detached, right? So what they're saying is sometimes if they present something, people are going to assume the worst. And then if they don't back up their claims with numbers so people understand, it's basically patch notes, right? You're basically just like listing numbers. So that is interesting though, because I haven't heard them say this in a long time. So much numerical detail. For me, what that sounds like is that Reddit and everybody in general might just get what we want with a big balance pass. They already redid a lot of uniques last league, so the only thing I can think of that has been on their to-do list for a long time is actually look at all skills and kind of normalize how they work and how much damage they deal. Because let's be real, like around about 80 to 90% of all skills are, I wouldn't say unplayable, but strictly worse than other skills. So tell me I'm coping, but I think this might be huge. We're going to see. Maybe it's like the smallest patch notes of all time, and that's why they didn't do any manifestos. Maybe they just didn't want to get any backlash for the manifestos. But I think there might be something huge on the horizon. There might be a huge meta shakeup. We'll see. Thank you for watching as always. Since I still don't have a slogan, see you next time.